Professor Seijiro Takeshita is from the University of Shizuoka. I asked him whether Mr Kashida won because he was seen as the safe option.
Absolutely. I think that's the safe word to put it. And you can see the LDP members voted for just that. They obviously wanted to sustain the status quo. The Japanese public, however, feels quite differently. As you can see from the regional votes by the LDP members, of the 47 prefectures, actually 38 of them had voted for Mr. Kono, who had much more radical thinking about converting or transforming the LDP. Now, one of the biggest strategies in Japan is that we don't have competition in political side. And of course, it's virtually a dominant race by the Liberal Democratic Party. But obviously, if you look at the real world, for example, it's very clear. If you don't have competition, you're not going to innovate. So obviously, many people, the Japanese public, were expecting Mr. Kono, but that's not how the MPs in Japan, the LDP members, thought of how it should be.
So stepping into this role, what will Mr. Kashida do first? What are his priorities?
Biggest priority is to how to cope with COVID-19 without a speck of a doubt. This is where the biggest frustration lies amongst the Japanese public. And at the same time, this is where we're getting a lot of hiccups and a lot of problems to go forward on the economics issues, societal issues, foreign issues, what have you. So basically to soothe the mind of the Japanese public and to cope, eloquently on this matter is the utmost importance in his agenda, aside from the fact that he'll have a lower house election coming up in November.
So looking ahead to Japan's election then, what does his leadership mean for the party on the back of his predecessor's falling popularity?
I would say that he probably would have a very good coordination within the LDP. So there won't be a lot of, I should say, hiccups or, disagreements that would come through. He's very good at making adjustments. But, your question is, how will the public think? Now, I think a lot of public might have been disappointed, but I think he will do a fairly good job. His methodology is basically where he doesn't fail. Which is not necessarily a good thing if you really want to make a total revamp or, total 180 degrees change in the organizational, status, which Mr. Kashida is never going to do. But he will basically try to sustain the current course and modify it to a certain degree, which he will be doing, I think, fairly good job because he will have a good support within the party.